Hello, everyone, and welcome to Africa Fire Mission's weekly virtual training session. My name's Mike, and I'm the programs director here at Africa Fire Mission. We're so happy that you took time out of your busy schedules to join us for today's training. Today, we're joined by Samuel Owino. Samuel is a firefighter. He recently completed an internship with AFM. He's a great community advocate, reaching thousands of people each year in his community service and fire prevention. All around good guy. He's going to be talking today about after action reviews. So we'll get started with that training in just a few moments. But before we get started, I just want to touch on a couple of administrative items. If you attend at least 70% of today's training, which is usually about 40 or 45 minutes, I'll get you a certificate of attendance for today's training. The name that shows up on that certificate is the name that you're using as your screen name here in Zoom. So if you want to make any adjustments to that, that's how it's going to show up on that certificate. So please go ahead and make those adjustments at your earliest convenience. Uh, if you get cut off or there's some reason that you can't complete today's training, maybe you have to go out on a fire call or something, there's some options for you to receive this training and receive that certificate. I'll be dropping a link in the chat, but if you head over to our webpage at www.africafiremission.org, go to the resources tab under training materials, and there you'll find a link to a Google Drive folder that contains recordings of all of this year's trainings, including today's session, and has a couple questions to see if you made sure you learned something from that training session. So give us your name, your email address, and what you learned in today's training, and I can, or in the recording of the training, and I'll send you a certificate of completion for that as well. So be sure to check that out. There's lots of other great free resources available there on our webpage, so encourage you to check that out. When we get completed with today's training at the top of the hour, we'll transition over into our tea time. Tea time is a time where you can ask a couple more questions about today's training or network with other firefighters. As you can see in the chat already, we've got some firefighters from throughout different places in Africa. So encourage you, if you've got the time in the bundles, to stick around after we finish today's training at the top of the hour for our tea time. And with that, I think I'm going to pass things over to Samuel today to get us started with today's training.
Okay. Thank you so much. Hope you can hear me clearly.
Sounding
Okay.
good.
Okay. So this is, I'll just be brief. And I was just saying that this is just about strengthening the lessons of what we have been learning about fire response and about how are we ready during response and how do we work as a team generally. So this is after action review, we'll just evaluate fire response efforts, focusing on the identifying the strength and areas for improvement. And the review also aims to enhance future preparedness, coordination, and safety during the fire incidences. It includes the assessment of the objectives, resources, strategies, and lessons learned to support continuous improvement in the emergency response. So we are focusing on identifying the strength. Already in a station before or when we are responding, you already know that we have a strength as a fire department or as a EMS. Which kind of strength do we have? Already you have the kind of resources that you have. You have the ambulances, you have the engine. The engine has got which kind of capacity to put over which kind of fire. Already you are identifying those kind of strength. And also the areas that also need improvement. Which area do we don't have where do we have our weaknesses or in our low levels where we cannot perform? Do we have the PPEs? What kind of mechanism that we really need to upgrade? So in every situation that we are in, we'll be improving at any given time. So this review will also aim in the future preparedness. So every time that we have having a fire after the fire scene, we go back to the station. After going back to the station, we sit together and seeing this kind of would be sitting down before doing anything. After removing all our PPs, we would sit down and review how was the incident, how did we coordinate, how was it safety it is to us. So it includes so many things, and it should have the objectives, the resources that we use, the tactics that we use, and also the lessons that we learn to improve that kind of continuous, to have continuous support. So the purpose of an AAR. So AAR is the after action review. So what is purpose? So number one, this is to evaluate our performance. It will overlook our performance as a department, our performance as a platoon, as a crew, also a specific unit responding to a specific incident. It can be an incident of fire, it can be an incident of drowning case or recovery. So we have to know our performance. And also through this, we'll now go now to individual. How is the individual performance? How did the individual perform affect us? How did we really contribute to our performance? So this is the reason why we are doing that. The AR to see we have to see how we perform. We can be performing poorly, or we performed well, or we perform modern, or we really outrange our performance. So also we have to identify the lessons. So any time that you have coming out of from the fire scene and you have AAR, always ensure you have identified a lesson. These lessons can be how did you put all the techniques that you used the fire, or what worked well, or what did not work well. Number three, the improve of readiness. How did we improve on our readiness? Was it adequate or was it not adequate? So we also have to see on how do we improve on our readiness. The time that we reached the scene, the time that we took for that kind of direction, or how did they call us? They took a lot of time before getting to us. So what are kind of issues that we're supposed to look at? Then enhance coordination, ensuring that the coordination, there is improvement of coordination. We'll have the in charge, or we have the chief, the fire chief, who will be the head coordinating, or in IC, maybe, for example, in Kenya, in our counties, we have the county commissioner will be now the in charge. Was the coordination with other agencies, how was it? Also that it has to come up clearly on the issue during the after action review. So we have to also see the coordination aspect. Did the team responding, the team in responding to the which truck, the team that was, the crew that was responding with which with the fire truck, how did they coordinate with the also ambulances? How did they remove the casualties? How did they evacuate the casualties? How did the ambulance handle the casualties? Was there coordination between the two parties? Was there a coordination between the two units? Maybe with the police, with the paramedic, maybe with the issue of electrocution, maybe the Kenya Power or the power lightning companies. How did they coordinate in such kind of rescue? And then lastly, reinforce accountability. So if we had or identified that our accountability needed reinforcement, that's now where it comes in. And which specifically reinforcement that we really need. Do we need additional equipment? Do we need additional manpower? Or do we need additional units or specific trainings to ascertain our accountability in our response? Yeah. So we're supposed to participate now in this AAR. So already you know how many people how many groups or units respond to an incident. In our previous classes or lessons, we have talked about the incident commander. That should be number one person that should be in our AAR. Responding units, they have to be there. The paramedic, the ambulances team, the extrication team, the water separation team, be it water rescue team, the hazmat team, the police, the power lighting company, if there was, in case they were there, the community, or maybe the chief of the area, or any support services that is available. Also the observers and the trainers, because after everything, they will see that we have a challenge in this kind of training or this kind of skill. So we have to bring them up to book so that they can give us kind of a direction to follow. So why incident commander? Is the one who is leading the scene. Commander is the one giving the directions. So if anything comes wrong, AAR is where to discuss this kind of issues with all the units. If the IC gave instruction to a specific unit, and maybe there's something that went wrong, or they didn't follow the kind of instruction, AAR is where to discuss it. Or IC gave an instruction, but we didn't have enough unit, or we didn't have a resource, maybe a vehicle or enough ambulance. That's where we are coming in and to say, or if the IC was wrong or giving a wrong direction, that's where now AAR also comes in. Responding units. All the responding units has to come in and to see which equipment did they have at that particular time during the response. Did they use the required equipments? Were they following the SOPs, all the units according to their SOP or SOPs? Because I know every unit has got their SOPs, apart from the general SOPs for all the responders who are responding to the fires. So we also have the support services. We can have a support service like the water supply. We can have, for example, people going the power supply or the hospital. So they have to be included so that they can also give us maybe what we did well or what we did wrong. Like, for example, in the hospital, we are evacuating and taken to the one hospital, and maybe this hospital is overwhelmed, and now they tell you now, take them to the next hospital. But there's it may be having a kind of conflict because maybe it's the nearest hospital. So we need also them to be part of us. Those who are maybe giving the responders maybe drinking water, maybe food, they also have to be there so that they can see that did they really worked well in responding maybe with the food or with the water they are giving to the responders, or what did they really work with. So they have to discuss that. The trainers have to see the skills that they should be implemented or the skills that should be trained for this kind of units or this kind of teams that that really responded. Yeah, let's look at the picture. So the ground rules. So I'll be talking and let's really focus on this kind of picture. Number one, we should not blame. No blame should be put during AAR. If a mistake happens, if we lose someone or someone got injured, during after action review, let us not put a blame. When we put a blame, we'll be pulling one person down. And when we're pulling one person down, his or her spirit will be going down. Even it may be affecting the way he or she will be responding in the next call. And the next, you never know, it could be even, right? Then immediately, maybe after you finish your review. So we put off the blame. Number two, honesty input. So we need all the honesty within the discussion on the AAR. So If something happened and we need a honest information or a honest kind of a resource that will help us to know why we did it like this or why it was wrong. Maybe you say that one of the horses had a leak, so we didn't have enough pressure. So we are not going to hide that we didn't check our rig or we didn't check our equipments like the horses. So that is a mistake for the crew, maybe. But we have to be honest so that we can correct it. So that next time, before releasing the rig or releasing the fire engine, and the crew already identified that there's a problem and you already corrected it. So that when you are in the scene, already corrected the problem. Respect. This is where each and every person has to respect everyone's ideas, everyone's decisions, everyone's behaviors, everyone's choice. And the respect will always help us to bond as responding units. And this will help us as we continue responding to respond more effectively. Stay factual. So we have to talk about the facts. We have to draw and see which facts, how did it really happen? How did we respond to it? How did we behave to it? How did it affect us? Yes? And that's where now we go to the capture the key actions. So capturing the key actions, us, do we take the key actions seriously? Are they really the key actions that we took? Did we make the right decisions for the actions? So these actions, they have to be taken and we have to write them down to see on which area went well, which area we did wrong, which area it needs improvement. Core AR questions. So this is where before starting, you have to write them down, these core AR questions. And you have to go step by step what was planned. Write them down, you discuss them, how you plan before executing the response. Number 2, what happened? Then why? Then improvements. So what was planned? So you have to identify how you plan execution. When you receive the call, what did the caller say? Have you identified the, the, the kind of fire or the kind of incident, the resources that you really need to respond with? Did you ensure that you plan for them? Did you have enough resources? Did you have enough water? Did you have the PPEs that is required? Did you really plan it well? Did you have the enough units? Did you plan for enough units to be at the scene at that particular time? Or the time that the specific units are needed? What happened? Yes, there's fire. Did we put it off? How did we put it off? Was there fire suppression? Did it escalate? Did we prevent it? Why? Why did it happen? Was it by our mistake? Or we didn't have enough water? Where does it need improvements? In our rig, in our skills, in our PPs, in our adjustments in the resources, adjustments in the specific units to respond with. our co-partnership with other stakeholders to see to improve on our weakness. So let's go step by step under preparation and planning. So under preparation and planning, there's something to do with the incident objectives and priorities, where we are supposed to undergo to see is there incident objectives. So anytime we always go to the scene, we have to identify the objectives of the scene. Because if it is a fire scene, already we know that our objective is to save lives and property. And the priorities is lives. So clear and well-defined incident objectives ensure to focus response efforts and ensure that the priorities are typically include life safety, property protection, and environment preservation. Yes. So establishing these early helps guide tactical decision and resource allocation effectively throughout the incident timeline. So we have to really see our priorities. And because we're the one who are going to tactically respond to this kind of fires. So we have to take our priority first on a life saving, which is the life safety. Already we know our objectives to save life, property, environment preservation. But we have to get an early helps guide on the technical decisions and the resource allocation. Do we have a resource in saving people's lives in their house? Do we have enough trees for responding? Is our tap having enough water or foam to help us for the fire suppression? Does the one ambulance can it respond to 20 casualties? Or we need additional ambulances? Where can we get the additional ambulances? So there are things that we have to coordinate and to see where can we get allocation for our resources. In addition to this, there's something also to do with the mapping of resources. This where you map, like in your county or in your country, like how many fire engines do we have at a particular county or city? How many ambulances do we have at a particular city or county or country? Through this, you will be already know that these are the resources that you have within your county or city, so that in case such kind of incidents occurs, you already know where to go to. So this is always being discussed in the AAR. If after respond to a fire and we didn't call this kind of resources, after that we have to do that kind of resource mapping. Yes, resource and equipment used. So we have to talk about them. And in the AAR discussion, this is where we have to know that all our equipment that we used have already been returned back and they are well in good conditions. There are those that got broken during operations, and we have to identify them and note them down so that the next crew can come. They will already know that, they already identify that, and maybe the management or the administration coming in to see on which particular operator that needs repair or equipment needs repair, already they know that This one needs maybe funding or maybe money to be serviced or to be repaired. So we have to talk about them and why did it break? Was it ignorance or how do we correct it so that it cannot break next time? Or maybe the handle was weak. So how can we now make this handle to be strong? So this is where we can discuss it. So assessment covers the adequacy and availability of resources such as personnel, apparatus, and the firefighting equipments. So mark you, us, we are the first resources of whatever we are using for, for the fire suppression or to put off fire. Because we have that kind of energy and skills, and we are the people using this kind of apparatus and the firefighting equipments. We have to evaluate do the assessment so that we can see how adequate do they operate. We have to assess the adequacy, the adequacy. So, like for example, us as the personnel, we have the adequate skills to use this kind of equipment. We have the adequate or the availability of resources, or we have that kind of strength. Evaluating the equipment functionality and the deployment, effective support, identification of logistic strength and gaps impact on the operation success. So through that, we can also identify the logistics, also to identify on the supporting of this kind of impact. Yeah. So communication and coordination. This is always the also a critical part that we are also supposed to. We are not supposed to underestimate it during AAR. The effective communication and coordination are critical for the successful fire response operation. This include time lead information sharing between the teams, clearly command structures, and use of reliable communication tools. Evaluating these aspects helps identify the bottlenecks or failures that may impact response efficiency and safety. That's why I like on the during a symposium, Teddy Malaki during the IC class was using the toys. And I wish our fire station could have also the toys. And these toys should have an ambulance, a fire engine toy, a police toy, uh, what else? Maybe Kenya Power or any other service toys. Motorboats are those kind of toys. So when you have this kind of toys, will help you to coordinate and to see when the IC given the command, he gave an instruction to the or which units reach the scene first, maybe the fire engine. So you pull on the fire engine, you try to explain to them the fire engine was the one that reached the scene first, followed by maybe the ambulance, then followed by police. And how was the IC now coordinating the scene? How was the coordination being done? Communication. Were we using the hockey talkies, or were we using our phones, or were we shouting? So you have to see. We have to see, and was it effective? Was it timely? So was the structure formally or informally? So this kind of information were they giving us? Or were they giving us the kind of direction that we're supposed to follow, or were they leading to a failure? So we have to see them. That's the reason why we are saying that the aspect helps identify the bottlenecks or failures that may impact response efficiency and safety. So you have to see the communication coordination aspect during the AR. What happened? How can we improve our communication and coordination? Or are we all the IC? Because most of the time that we reach, everyone to be a commander, everyone to lead the team. So we have to see those kind of aspects. Incident response evaluation. So this is where we talk about the tactical actions and effectiveness. So where we review the tactical actions, emphasize accessing the strategies applied to control and extinguishing the fire suppression. Uh, did we use an adequate or technique or the tactical technique on how to put off the fire? Did we rescue uh, the people that are being rescued in the building effectively? Also, according to our SOPs or the NFAP or the SOPs that we are supposed to undertake to protect also ourselves against this kind of people. Measured by incident containment time, resource utilization, and adaptation to the changing condition. This analysis supports refining tactical for future incidences. By the way, when we reach a certain level, maybe in our response, at times we may be forced to adapt to how we respond to a specific incident. No, it's not all no, it's not all incidents that will be just responding the way we always respond to the same one. Like we move out with the truck, we put off the fire. No, there's somewhere we adapt to specific techniques, rescue the people's lives, also to put off fire, so that we cannot be gotten off guard, also no one to get injured. So safety risk management. So these are the protocols and risk mitigation efforts which must be scrutinized to ensure responders' protection, identify the hazards, encounter near misses, and compliance with the safety standards, provide insights into operation risk and opportunity to strengthen the safety culture. So this one, I know most of us are not taking this. Did we risk our lives to rescue their lives? Did we risk our lives in putting off that fire? Risking our lives means that at times we don't wear the PPEs, we don't have the breathing operator, we are using the breathing operator but it doesn't have the oxygen. So how do we really look out on our safety? Do our operator have the PPEs, or as we have the PPEs but operator doesn't have the risk? There's a story that I had maybe during the symposium that one of the operators during the response, by the I think it's just due to maybe ignorance or maybe lack of the PPs that really affect us in Kenya. So where most of our operators doesn't wear the PPE. So in this case, there was a flashback. And did you know the flashback got to the operator? So those are kind of, we are risk. We have to see the safetyness and also the risk that we are putting ourselves in the whole crew, and also the risk that we are putting also our equipment, like the rig, the fire engine. Yes. Then the lessons learned. So this is where we are be learning all the lessons, and we are supposed to write everything that we will be documenting everything that we discuss in this area. So uh, highlights critical insights gained from the response, focusing on areas for improvement in planning, execution, and support. It promotes a culture of continuous learning by documenting what worked well and what requires adjustments. So this will be more critical. So this is the format. This can be a guiding format for us. So this is just a sample. We can start with the situation. We discuss on the situation, how it happened, how it started, how, on how the situation was, how the fire we found the scene is, the actions that we took, the challenges that we face when we were responding, the success. Did we put off the fire? Did we rescue people's lives? What lessons could we learn from such kind of incident? Documentation. So you have to understand the aspect of documentation. So you have to use forms. These forms, every time that you have an AR, you have to describe them down. Record timelines, like uh, we are supposed to improve on these, on our skills. By the time that we are coming to the next shift, already you already know that skills. Or in our next shift, we'll be taking, maybe we'll be looking for someone who can take us through this kind of skills, including photos on your reports or documentation, then track action. So you have to track action, you have to explain how it really happened with the challenges. What can you see in the photo? What can you see in the photo? You can see there's some road, there's an engine, and this is what describes how the the engine was dispatched from the fire station and how the road was. What kind of road should it follow or where should it look like? So, and you can take a photo of that to be part of what you discuss in the turning lessons into actions. So AAR will help us to update our SOPs. As time goes by, we'll be adjusting these our SOPs because currently things are really coming up which were not in our SOPs. For example, let's say it was an electric vehicle fire or a motorbike fire. So how did you respond to it? How do you adjust to SOPs? So this will now bring to updating our SOPs concerning electric fires on our vehicles. The train, how is it our response, our trends? How are we really moving on? Or how are we growing as a station? What kind of skills? How can we move so that everybody in the station knows this kind of challenges and how to track them through this kind of challenges? How do we maintain our equipment to improve on our response? What are the coordinated agencies who can support us in response? So these are the 10 lessons we are supposed to look at and they should be put into actions. Yeah, so this is also a critical part and I know this will come during AR, psychological first aid, PFA. This is a critical part in us as a fire department and also as we respond. So we have to identify this kind of people. In A, if you responded, maybe there's people who lost life, there's a traumatic event, or those who are banned completely or there something else. So as a firefighters, we have to see and identify maybe as a team leader who is leading the AR. You have to be able to identify emotional and psychological distress. Can be 1, 2, or 3. So find a way of identifying the person that may be having emotions or a physical, psychological distress. Observe stress reactions. Yes, you may be shouting or in your discussion, you may be pulling, maybe talking about negative or maybe in a hyper situation. So we have to observe this kind of stress reactions. Provide calm and practical support. So you are the leader. In fact, you are the in charge or the chief. So you have to bring the team calm or the person calm and give a practical support to them. So just ensuring them that you know that they are feeling that way. Ensuring that responders feel safe and heard. That will be of a good response to them. on their distress, on their stress, on their kind of mentally disturbed. Identify the PTSD during the AR. At times they may be they withdraw, or they can be silence. Or when you call the meeting, they'll be alone. So you have to identify this kind of situation during AAR. The irritability or anger, I've talked about the flashbacks, intrusive thoughts. So when you are discussing on the AR, may bringing maybe some thoughts back. So just know that this person needs help. Or maybe when the team is sleeping, at times it may be disturbed, and also maybe also having hyper vigilance, so very keen on whatever is surrounding, and also emotional numbness. So those are the critical part and the things that we're supposed to see in case one of our on our uh, firefighters or responders has this kind of effect after response. If responders do not share during the AR, by the way, do you know that there's some that will be just quiet? Maybe you'll be just talking alone and you may not know what's happening. So if this happens, already there's an aspect of mental health or mental distress or uh, disturbance. So go directly, move from AAR, just move directly to the PFA. Do not push anyone to speak. Address the emotional well-being first. Let them just share what they feel or what happened, why they distressed. Just let them talk. If you let them talk, just tell them, like, don't just go direct. But just tell them how was the scene, how did the ensuring that confidential and support. Yeah, let them talk. Let them just talk. And when they are talking, they'll now bring up this kind of stories. So conducting AR through FPFA, this is also another critical part. I'm sorry for that. So conducting AR through PFA. So this is now in a critical condition. You are conducting your AR and also you are conducting AR through a PFA because already you have moved from AR to PFA and you still need a report on also the AR. So begin with the emotional check-in. Ensure that everyone is okay. Are we together? If everyone is not okay, let's tell them everyone to just share a story. It may be a disturbing after the event. Okay, through that, you can now know how the story, how the events were during the fire scene. So, or any kind of the response was, how everyone reacted to this kind of response, how everyone efforts were. Use gentle guiding questions. Yes. How it happened. What was the challenge? What can we improve on? Allow the responders to express the experiences. Yes, safely. I've shared that one. Shift to operational review only when appropriate. Yes, you have to just go to the operations first, on the review only when appropriate. So if you see that they are really focusing on their mental maybe disturbance, just go directly to that. Yeah. So the after action review underscores the importance of robust planning, clear communication, and adaptive techniques in fire response. Emphasize safety and continuous improvement will enhance future operations, ensure more effective and secure incident management involving emergency scenarios. So it's a very critical and it's a very good thing that we are supposed to conduct it. always remember this. Every fire teaches us something. The goal is to learn and apply. But, and also remember this. Remember this always. Everyone has to go home. Everyone has to go home. Thank you. And that's the end of my presentation.
All righty, excellent job, Samuel. Very good. We've got a couple minutes left in sort of the formal portion of our training. So we'll go ahead and open up the floor to any questions that you may have. If you have a question or would like to make a comment on today's training, you can use the raised hand feature. You can drop a question or comment in the chat, or you can go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question. All right, got some good comments in the comments section. Got a great job. What a great topic. After action reviews, really a important part of what we do. Uh, really good presentation and coverage of it. You know, these can be as formal or as informal as you want them to be. It can be as simple as standing around next to the truck and just talking things through quickly. Of course, the more serious the incident, and the more you've got to really dive a bit deeper into there. And I love the fact, Samuel, that you talked about taking care of our people after the incidents as well. Touching on that mental health component, boy, that's really, really important part of what we do there. So all around, just a great presentation. I'm going to wrap up sort of the formal part of our training session here, but I invite everyone to stick around as we transition into our tea time, uh, and we can further some discussion there. Let me give a big thank you to Samuel for sharing his knowledge uh, and sharing his views on this topic. Did a great job. Um, we're always looking for local instructors. If you have a topic that you may be interested in, please reach out to me, and we'll see what we can do to get you involved as an instructor. Thank you also to all of you. A lot of you guys taking your own, using your own time, using your own bundles to be here and to better yourselves and better your community. We don't take that for granted one bit. So thank you all for coming. We have plenty of seats available here in the classes. So please, if you think there's someone that may benefit from this training, go ahead and share the registration link. Uh, if you're sharing your screen with someone else, go ahead and drop me an email to let me know who else you're sharing your screen with, and I'll be sure to get them a certificate of attendance for today's class as well. So with that, I'm going to wrap things up. Thank you everyone for attending, and I hope to see you all again next week.